Hi, it's Ben here, and today I'm going to be showing you how you can break down a takeoff and jump on a springboard and a trampette with your gymnasts. So the first thing that we're going to do with the gymnasts is make sure they know how to do a rebound jump. So we're going to use either the floor or an air track or something just to start getting them used to rebounding and check that they understand how to rebound in different directions. So we're going to get Luca to jump on the spot, jumping forwards, jumping backwards and jumping sideways, and check that he's got good form and understanding in these shapes. So as you can see in all of those videos, Luca has got straight legs, he's bouncing through his toes, he's keeping tight every time he bounces, he's tensing his arms, he's tensing his core, and on all the movements you can see that he's keeping tight and he's understanding how to travel in different directions. This now means that he understands the shapes correctly, and we're ready to start progressing this when we move on to the springboard. So now that we know that Luca understands how to jump in different directions, we're going to start teaching Luca how to lean backwards and lean forwards whilst doing these movements. So what we're going to use is a block or a mat or anything that they can stand on, and they're going to practice standing on top of the block, bouncing on the floor and then landing back on the block. This is going to teach them to jump their feet in front of them so that when they jump on the springboard they go up. So Luca's going to demonstrate this now. So he's going to put one foot in front of the other. He's going to have his arms behind him. He's going to jump forwards, arms bounce, and then he lands back on top of the blue mat. So you're going to do a few of these just so you can see. When he does this, his shoulders lean backwards so that when he lands, he bounces backwards and lands in a nice upright position. So now that Luca understands how to rebound jump in different directions, and we know that he understands keeping his body tight, it's time to start teaching him how to get the correct block and takeoff when we use a springboard. So we're going to do this by bouncing with our feet slightly in front of us so that when we jump on the springboard, we go up. Now, what we're going to use is a mat or a block or something you can stand on so that when they jump, they can land back on it and they can jump off it to start with. So he's going to start with one foot in front of the other as if he was going to take off. He's going to then rebound jump with his shoulders backwards and his feet in front of him, arms down, and then he's going to bounce back onto the mat or the block, showing that he understands how to lean forwards with his feet and lean backwards with his shoulders. So as you can see, when he starts, his arms are backwards, and then he rebound jumps and lands nice in an upright position. So once the gymnasts understand how to jump their feet in front of them and do this from a step, it's time to start encouraging the gymnasts to do this from a bit of a run. So Luca can move backwards, and he can have a little bit of a run up into this. And as you can see, he's still managing to land with his feet back onto the mat, so that means he's jumping his feet in front of him. Perfect. So an exercise that you can do now, once they understand how to jump their feet in front of them and go backwards, preparing them for their vaults and getting their heels behind them, is to go into a front support or even a handstand. But I would highly suggest that you do this with support, as landing on their arms can be quite a lot of strain. With Luca today, I'm not going to support him, but if you've got a smaller gymnast, you would just hold their shoulders and their legs, and then you can lift them into the position, or you can even hold their hips as well, just to make sure that you soften the blow when they land, so not so much impact on their shoulders. But Luca's going to demonstrate this today on his own, but if you've got some smaller gymnasts, you might want to support this. So as you can see, when he jumps, his feet are in front of him, but now because he's going into a front support, he's got to get his heels back, which is preparing him ready for his vaults later down the line. So show you one more time. Perfect. Now this is the most important part of taking off and blocking. You need to understand this. So when you're running into an element, you've got speed moving forwards. So if you take off upright, as he is, by the time he takes off and he's leaning forwards, he's going to take off in this position and he's going to go flying forwards. If he's not tight, like we've been practicing, and he buckles at his hips and he's piked, the same thing's going to happen. He's going to go straight down. So with the gymnasts, the reason that we're getting them to jump their feet in front of them is because if they're running forwards and they take off like this, by the time they actually leave the ground, they're going to be going upwards, and this applies to your somersaults and lots of different takeoffs as well, not only the vault. Okay, so even if they're doing their round-offs and their other moves, when they do this, they need to make sure they're taking off in the correct position for what they're doing. Now with the hurdle step, you need to make sure sure that they're doing everything on the same side. So if they cartwheel on their left leg, you want them to have their left leg in front, so they get in the habit of doing every single skill on the same thing, so they make sure that when they're doing this, it's consistent. So if Luca cartwheels on his left leg when he does his hurdle steps, he's going to put his left leg in front, and he'll then jump onto his feet and he'll kick his other leg forwards. So this is all we're trying to do here, is build up consistency, making sure that the gymnast is doing the same things so that we can get more consistent repetitions. It's now time to start introducing the gymnast to the springboard. So we're going to do the same jumps with the arm actions. Every single time he tenses his abs and every single time he rebounds, he's got straight legs. And he's just going to do 10 bounces, just blocking his arms every single time, getting used to rebounding on the springboard. So as you can see, he's bouncing up and down, nice, good. Good. So once we can see that he's comfortable bouncing on a springboard and he understands how to rebound, it's time to start making this a little bit harder. So we've taught the gymnast how to move their shoulders forwards and backwards and block, and we've taught the gymnast how to rebound correctly. It's now time to teach them how to do their hurdle step into the takeoff on the springboard. So what we're going to use first is just some spots. They've got a visual aid. They're going to put one foot on each spot, and you want them to have a long jump onto their 2 feet takeoff. So here, as you can see, there's quite a big gap. Depending on the size of the gymnast, you want to move this in or out. We're going to get Luca to show us, so he can have his arms backwards. He's going to do a really big push off his left leg, because he cartwheels on his left leg, and he's going to rebound jump onto the spot and take off. Perfect. So on this one, we want to try and see if they can do a long jump and rebound up, and then just land nicely back on the spot. So we'll do one more. So as you can see here, look, he bends his left leg, arms backwards, he kicks his right leg through, joins his legs together and does a big rebound jump. Perfect. So now the gymnast understands how to do a correct hurdle step. We're going to introduce this on the springboard now from a height. So this is going to help them get that extra power into their rebound jump. So we're still going to be using the visual aids of the spots just to help the gymnast understand where they're going to put their feet. So we're going to put his one foot in front of the other. Again, left foot. He's going to rebound jump on the top of the springboard. Arms are going to go in. He's going to do a massive jump and land on the mat. Perfect. So as you can see, he's putting everything that we've just learned into action here. He's doing a long jump, his shoulders are back, and he's doing a really big rebound jump. He's getting a really good block off the springboard, and he's going in the correct direction. Something that you need to be careful of, that is a common mistake on the jump and the takeoff, is that the gymnast will put their head down. Now when they put their head down, this is going to encourage them to pike or put their shoulders forwards, so they need to keep their head still. So Luca's going to demonstrate what it will look like if they put their head down. So as you can see, when he took off, his shoulders are in the wrong position, he didn't get as much height and he didn't go in the right direction. So now that we've done everything with the gymnasts from a step, it's now time to start the gymnast from a run-up. So I'm going to still be using the visual aids. So we've got 3 different spots here. So we've got one at the top, we've got one for the first step, one for the second step. So Luca's going to demonstrate this from a run now. So as you can see, he does everything exactly the same. His shoulders are back on takeoff, and he's got a good rebound jump, and he's going in the correct direction. So the next stage is to take away the spots. Some gymnasts may struggle using spots and trying to get their feet onto the spots. So what the other exercise we use is to just cover the parts of the springboard that they're not allowed to touch. So as you can see here, we've got 3 carpet squares. You can use a mat. So we just leave in the top of the springboard where he's going to do his jump, and where we want him to step before. So as we can see now, Luca's going to demonstrate this. So the exercise is exactly the same, but all we're doing is we're changing around the way the visual aids are used. Depending on the vault that you're doing will depend on the takeoff or the arm position. Today we're just working on how to take off and do a straight jump. So what we're going to do to encourage this is just to keep his arms in the same position where he blocks and tenses his arms, but we're going to add a block to make it higher for him to land on. So once we know he can jump and land correctly, it's time to add some more height so we can see how high is he jumping and does he understand how to use the springboard correctly. So Luca's going to demonstrate this. We're going to do everything that we've just done, but what we're going to do is take off and land onto a higher block, which he's done with ease. As the gymnasts start to progress, their arm positions may change. So Luke is going to demonstrate for us what it would look like if we were to do a straight front, or which may be a handspring later down the line, where his arms are going to be up rather than down, but the takeoff position will still be the same. So we're going to show us that now. We're going to start progressing the jumps onto a trampette. So the main differences from a trampette to a springboard is that the trampette is going to sink more and react slower to the springboard. So when you jump on the springboard, you're going to bounce off it a lot quicker than when you're on the trampette. So things are a little bit slower. You're going to go a lot higher, and this is going to exaggerate anything that you do wrong. So Luca shows us one now where he leans forwards. Do you demonstrate that? It's going to be a lot more exaggerated on the trampette than what it would be on the springboard. So this is a really good exercise for showing you and highlighting small little details that may be going wrong on the trampette, on the springboard, sorry. So Luke is going to demonstrate this now just with a good jump. So it's exactly the same things apply. He leans backwards, he does a massive jump, but it gives them a lot more time. They can do a lot more repetition without it being so stressful on their joints. And you can really see the correct technique on this. So with the trampette, when they're running and jumping into their takeoff, you'll see that we've slanted this slightly into this position. This means that this will encourage the gymnasts to be in the upright position rather than having the trampette flat. So if they're running into this exercise, this is going to really help encourage them to take off in the correct position. So I would really encourage as well, when starting on the trampette, that you use the block in front of it first rather than running up. Once you can see that they've controlled this well, it's then time to start doing this from a run-up, which Luke is going to demonstrate in a second. So after today's video, you should understand how to take off correctly on a springboard and a trampette, the differences between the springboard and the trampette, and how to take off correctly on both of these.